morning, wonderful humans. So today we are going to be talking about glazing. I'm going to get into how to mix all different colors, how to do different glazing techniques, and how to glaze your pieces. So first thing is you're going to get your glaze kit. So your glaze kit should include all of your primary colors as well as black and white in these little containers. So your primary colors are red, yellow, and blue. With these 5 ingredients, you can make literally any color. So we're gonna start there with color mixing. You should also have brought a Tupperware from home, something with a lid on it so that you can mix your colors inside the container and then keep them sealed so that you can use them in between classes. So to start, I'm gonna mix a couple of colors and then we'll kind of get into glazing. So if you remember, the glaze is actually, it's not real paint. It is basically a powdered mineral that when heated to a really high temperature fuses to the piece and becomes a glass. So it functions a little bit differently. The main thing to remember is that glaze is really, really light and chalky before it has been fired. So your colors are gonna be a lot more muted, a lot more pastel looking than when they come out of the kiln. So just kind of know that. And the first piece that you do is going to be an experiment. So use that first piece that you're practicing on, so probably either your teacup or maybe one of the first pieces that you've thrown on the wheel if you're an advanced, to kind of practice mixing your colors and just kind of see how it works. So I'm gonna start, let's see, I think I'll start by mixing just like some basic colors. So we have red, yellow, and green. So to make, let's say orange is gonna be the first one I make, then you're gonna combine red and yellow. So it's always best to start with the lighter of the 2 colors, just because the darker colors do kind of take over, okay? So I'm gonna grab a towel. Sponge. It's good to have your towel handy, which of course I didn't, to kind of wipe your sturdy plastic knife off in between, just so that you're not like double dipping the glazes. These are your glazes to use, so if you contaminate them, that's kind of on you. Okay, so a little bit of red, a little bit of yellow, and then just kind of mix it together with your palette knife. And these are flexible, so you should be able to kind of you know, bend it over, and really you want to mix it until you can't see any red or any yellow, and it just looks mostly kind of like an orange. Okay. Then if you wanted it to be darker or lighter, darker, a little bit more red, lighter, a little bit more yellow. And then I'm just gonna kind of show you what that looks like on the piece. So this is a piece I threw for the advanced class. So let's see, the orange, we'll just throw it in because I've got this little sun here. So we'll just kind of paint that into the sun. So the next thing to note is that when you're glazing, you need to have 3 coats of glaze. So 3 different layers, not 3 different colors, so 3 different layers of the glaze. So basically you're gonna paint it once, let it dry, paint it twice, let it dry, and then paint it 3 times and let it dry. The first coat dries incredibly quickly. Like you can see, this is the first coat and it's already dried, okay? And the color is going to instantly get so much lighter. So again, don't be too freaked out by this, but just kind of know that that's what's happening. So most of the time, by the time you get to the end of one coat, you can kind of start at the beginning with your second coat. So it's really on you to remember how many coats of glaze you've done. So I always suggest, like when you're using one color, just do the 3 coats of that one color while you're using it, rather than going over the entire thing with one coat. It's just can be too annoying. So like if I mixed this orange, I'm gonna do a weird speckle. I'm gonna do 3 coats of this orange while I have it, versus going off and doing other things in between. So that first coat dried really, really quickly. The second coat is gonna dry a little bit slower. So in the meantime, I'm just gonna take some of this orange and I'm gonna kind of throw it into these little sunbeams, because I'm a big fan of overlapping glazes, kind of doing an ombre effect with glazes and things like that. So I want to kind of mix this orange in with some other colors that I'm making. And I'm just going to take some, kind of throw it in down here on these little hills that I'm going to make a brown to kind of cover it with, but for now I'm just going to kind of throw this in. So again, with your first piece, kind of use it as a place to practice. And again, notice that very first coat is already dry, where I could go back in again, whereas this one is gonna take a bit longer. So that's orange, and then in between colors, you always wanna rinse your brush in your little cup of water, which you should have with you at all times, right? And then again, you have your towel here to just kind of dry the paintbrush in between, and then make sure that your knife has been cleaned off as well. And I just want to show you kind of what the red and the yellow look like, kind of in addition to that yellow that we made. So if you're using the direct color, just use it directly out of there. But if you're not using it, if you're just mixing it, then you always want to kind of put it somewhere else, just so you don't contaminate the base, okay? So again, I'm a big fan of overlapping the glazes. So I've got this orange in the sun rays, and I'm just kind of throwing in some yellow in there just to give it like a nice little highlight. The three colors that you get are going to be much brighter and more vibrant than the ones that you mix. So you want to kind of think about that as you're glazing. You don't want to overpower it with these main three primaries, but you want to, so use them like sparingly and just kind of for effect, because it's always just so much more interesting to be creating your own colors. Again, the primary colors can get kind of boring, okay? And then your red, I'm gonna throw a little bit of red in just to the sun there as well, just so you can kind of see it. So again, the yellow looks really, really light and chalky, even lighter than the orange when it dries. Okay, and I'm gonna kind of overlap a little bit of this red, just kind of into the sun, just kind of to give it kind of a shadow, if you will. So again, big fan of blending colors. And then I'm just gonna kind of throw a little bit of red in to my sun rays, just kind of overlapping, okay? So red, yellow, orange. Again, you already start with red and yellow. The next color I'm gonna show you, just because it'll go kind of where I'm at, is pink. So to make pink or any lighter color, you always wanna start with the white, because again, the red is so much darker. So start with a little bit of white, okay? And then again, clean off your tool in between, teensy bit of red, okay? And then mix that in to your white. And again, I didn't use all that orange, but luckily I have it in a container with a lid, so it will be here to keep using later on when I come back to do that third coat on the sun. So then I'm just kind of moving the glaze back and forth, trying to get that nice kind of like a blush pink color, okay? And if it's a little bit too light, you can add a little bit more red. I'm gonna add a teensy bit more red just to get it to pop a little bit more, just because that's what I want. And again, starting with the lighter color just helps you to conserve glaze, because if you start with the darker one, you just have to add so much more of that light color to get it where you want versus this way, okay? So, and then there's another way to conserve. So then I'm gonna take this kind of off with my paintbrush so that I can start using that kind of right away. Okay, so I'm gonna throw some pink into the kind of sun as well, just again as some more highlights, because again, I'm a big fan of like overlapping, just blending colors. Again, as long as they go together, these are all warm colors, they all relate. If you combine warm and cool colors, that is how you're gonna get brown, which we'll talk about in a minute. But again, you know, I'm kind of going for like a little sunset vibe, so the pink works. And then I'm gonna do a little pink in the sky as well, just to kind of give it that kind of morning desert sunrise effect. So the pink is quite light as I'm painting it. The next thing to note when you're glazing is you always want to have your brush strokes going in the same direction, because if you forget to do 3 coats of glaze, you can see the brush strokes and it can look kind of sloppy if I was painting like up and down, side to side, or swirling around. So try to always kind of have your brush strokes be going together in that same direction. Just as kind of a habit to get into. And again, you'll notice the brush strokes if you fail to do those 3 coats, and you will learn from it. Okay, so again, once you get to the beginning, super, super light. Okay, so that's pink for you. And then the next color we're gonna make is green. So to make green, you're going to combine yellow and blue. So again, starting with our yellow, which is our lighter of the 2. Just taking a little chunk of it over here. And then teeny tiny bit of blue, because the blue is really dark. I don't even think I want that much. Okay, teeny tiny bit of blue into there. I can already tell it's kind of darker than I wanted, but that's fine. And again, a lot of people start with blue and try to make yellow and end up with kind of a teal, or try to make green, end up with more of a teal, which is fine. If you want teal, you want like a darker green, start with blue. But if you want like a lighter green, which I'm going for, start with that yellow. You can get that nice green. So I'm gonna take a little bit of this green and just throw it into I've got some trees up here, and then I've got some sagebrush. I'm just gonna kind of dot this green kind of along here. Very Bob Ross style, happy little trees. So, and again, notice I haven't done 3 coats of everything, mostly to save time, right? Because I'm not gonna make you sit here while I glaze this entire piece. It would take, you know, an hour or so. But I'm just kind of going through, breaking down how to make the colors, etc. Okay, so there's my green, looking very, very light. Okay, and then I'm gonna go in and give a little sagebrush. I always recommend painting the background first, right? Which I'm kind of doing backwards. Like I would have painted this whole thing, because I'm gonna do kind of like a tan and then the green over. But I wanted to kind of show you the mixing colors, so here we are. Because, okay, the main reason for that is you always wanna do light colors first and then darker colors on top. So like a tan is a lot lighter than a green. The green isn't gonna show up or the tan isn't gonna show up if you paint it on top of the green. So you always wanna think about that, or you can do it this way, where you paint the dark colors and then paint the lighter ones around them, okay? So that is your green. I'm not gonna paint all of them, again, just for the interest of time. And then the last color that I'm gonna show you to make, well, we'll do a couple more, is purple, okay? So this is basically, we're getting into secondary colors. This pink is a tint of red, but orange, green, and then purple are your 3 secondary colors. So to make purple, you combine red and blue. Start with red, okay? Because red is like, again, blue is very dark, okay? And then you're gonna add a teensy bit of blue to it. Okay, mix it in there. And just start getting, this one's looking a little bit maybe magenta-y, so I might add a teensy bit more blue. Actually, it's probably fine. So that's our purple. I'm gonna do a teeny bit more blue just because I feel like it. It's like a weird piece of plastic on here. What are you? Okay. And always just kind of remember like what was the recipe for getting this color, so that if you go to make it again, you're not like, oh crap, how did I make that purple? Yeah, that one's nice. A little bit of a darker. So for the purple, I guess I'll do kind of like these hills in like a purple. So, and again, this first piece that you're doing, okay, so notice I didn't really mix it that well, and there's some still some hints of blue in there. So you can also mix with your paintbrush. It just kind of ruins the paintbrushes, so I don't love to do that. But if you notice some parts that aren't great, just kind of mix it with your brush. And again, sometimes certain colors showing up can look kind of cool. You know, hints of blue in this purple or whatever. So again, trying my best to do brush strokes in the same direction as I'm going. Okay. And again, trying to use like the design that I made to kind of guide my glazing. So most of the pieces that you've made should already have designs on them, like your teacup and saucer should have your pattern on it. You know, so you should already kind of have an idea of how you're gonna glaze it. If you have something that's a totally blank canvas, you can draw onto it with pencil, and the pencil burns out in the kiln, and then you can like paint on top of those pencil lines. Okay, so there's my purple. So I'm gonna show you a couple more. I know this is taking kind of long, but it's kind of a lot of information. So, again, the blue is very, very dark, so I wanna show you how to make a sky blue, so that would be a tint of blue. So we're gonna start with white. Okay, start with white and add a little bit of blue to it to get that kind of sky blue. So again, noticing just how dark it is already, because the blue that we get, the stock blue, is just very potent, but the sky blue can be really nice. Again, I have a sky here. Tints are a really nice way to get an interesting color without having to combine too many things. Okay, so that's my sky blue. I'll just show you a little bit of it on here. I guess I'm gonna just kind of go a little bit into the actual sky where it blends into the pink, just kind of on the parts I haven't painted. Then a little bit into these mountains, because the mountains, you know, it's like snowing right now in May, but the mountains kind of look blue or purple from kind of like afar. Okay, so that's my kind of sky blue. Maybe we'll do some more hints of it just along the sky, kind of overlapping that pink. So again, speaking of, you never know what colors are gonna look like when you overlap. The blue and the pink though overlapping will give us like a purple, so I'm not too sad about that. Okay, I get a lot of people trying to make like a skin tone or like a brown. So to get there, basically to get a brown, you combine all three of the primary colors. But if you started out with blue, it would be really, really cool and dark. So, and more of like a green than a brown. So again, always start with red and blue, well, red and yellow, and then a little bit of blue. So I'm just gonna do that in my last little corner here. So again, starting with yellow, my lightest, a little bit of red, okay, teensy bit of blue, and then you can either add white or black to it to make it a lighter or dark brown. So again, a lot of people end up accidentally making brown, and then when they want to get a skin tone, they're like, how do I make it? And I'm like, well, you're actually already doing it on accident every time you combine all three of the colors together. Okay. So that's kind of like our skin tone, kind of like a lighter tan. So I'm going to show you kind of what that looks like, and then we'll just take a little bit of it and kind of dust it along the bottom here, because this is supposed to be kind of like the desert, you know, like the sand that the sagebrush grows in. So that's about kind of like that tan color. Okay. So, and again, this one will dry very, very light. So it's really important for you to remember like what you did, how many coats you did, where you did it, because one issue that I run into a lot with people is they're like, oh, I painted it white or tan, but you can't really tell, and then it ends up getting unpainted and it looks really bad. Okay, so I'm kind of running out of space there. I'm gonna show you two more colors, and then we'll kind of do a second video with a few more techniques. So the last couple colors I'm gonna show you are maroon and like navy blue. So these are shades, so you're gonna add a little bit of black to them. So for maroon, start with your red and then add a little bit of black to it. And again, the black, much like the blue, really, really overtakes the color very quickly. So use it sparingly. Okay, so there's our nice kind of dark maroon. Where can I'll just do kind of like on top of the mountains here, because that was like my purple. So that maroon will kind of give us some good effects on there. So again, a bit of a darker, you know, shade. And then navy blue. Okay, so start with blue. Sorry, I'm not showing it. Start with blue. And then teensy bit of black to the blue. This is gonna give you navy. Again, all of these colors that I've mixed here are 10 times more interesting than these boring ones. This blue is actually still kind of dark, so let's take it a little bit more black, not that much. Mix it to it to kind of really darken it up there. Okay, so that would be our navy and our maroon. Just show you a little bit of what this navy looks like. Again, we'll do some kind of shadows on these mountains I've been doing here. So again, shadows or shades are a great way to do shadows, to get certain parts to kind of stand out. Again, they will fade and look a lot lighter once they're dry. You just have to kind of remember, oh yeah, I did some darker colors in there. Okay, so that is the basics of mixing colors. So
attention students, if you would like to pick up your yearbook or your
I'm gonna just pause that there. Thank you, bye.